My name is James. After 25 years of marriage, my wife decided she wanted a divorce. She never really told me why, but I have my assumptions. When my wife and I first met, I was going to the gym every day. I was also known as G.I. Joe. 25 years later, working an office job, not going to the gym quite as often as I used to, she found a 27-year-old hunky macho man that I'm assuming pleasures her in all the right ways. Like a typical divorce, she wanted the house, the kids, and child support. Which is totally understandable, so I decided to sell my 2015 Ducati Panigale 899cc. I posted my bike on Craigslist, and within 2 days I had several callers. I was totally psyched that I was going to be selling my bike. The truth was, I just wanted to make an easier move for myself, and I kind of needed the money. One guy called me and said he could be at my house in the next hour. I was super excited and thought, wow, this will be a quick sell on Craigslist. The guy showed up. He was in his mid-20s, a tall, handsome, well-built man. I had my Ducati parked outside in my driveway. What made me feel uncomfortable was he didn't give me a call when he came over. He just went straight to my bike and sat on it and started playing around with the bike. I busted my front door open and said, "Hey, what the hell are you doing, man?" "Hey, it's Luke. I called you on the phone 1 hour ago. I said I was coming over to come check out the bike." "Well, I would appreciate it if you gave me a call and let me know that you're here." "Well, I'm here." "Well, here it is. I'm asking $12,500 cash for it. Can I take it around for a spin?" "I'm gonna need the cash in my hand for you to do that." He looked at me kind of like, "Are you for real?" and said, "Well, I have the money in my bank account. I could show you my bank statement." "That's not exactly the same with cash in my hand." "Well, I'm most likely going to buy the bike." "Well, another reason is I haven't renewed my insurance policy and it just lapsed, so I don't feel comfortable letting you ride it." "I'm not gonna crash your bike. What if I just take it around the block?" Luke pulled out his driver's license and waved it at me. "Look, M1 license." "Okay. Just be careful." I tossed him the keys. I had a bad feeling about this guy. Luke turned on the bike and really revved the hell out of the engine. "This bike sounds sweet." "Just be careful." He didn't even have a helmet on. He clicked into first gear, peeled out on my driveway, and I stood in my driveway for 3 hours, constantly trying to call Luke, but all my calls went to his voicemail. After 4 hours later, I called the cops. I told the operator what happened, and they had a police officer show up to my house. The officer reported my motorcycle stolen. I couldn't believe it. I had such a bad feeling about this guy when I first laid my eyes on him. My wife and I are still living together, but in different rooms obviously. When she got home I told her what happened, but she didn't care. She just ignored me. Women. You can't kill them, and you can't live with them. The same night I put a tracking device on my wife's car. I wanted to see where she was going every other night with this new boyfriend of hers that I never met before. Our relationship was non-existent. We didn't even communicate with each other anymore. I saw her leave around 7:30 p.m. and I was assuming she was going to meet with her new boyfriend. I drove my Toyota Camry to the location that the tracking device gave me so I could spy on her. When I got to the location, I saw her sitting outside a Beverly Hills restaurant. I was watching her for 20 minutes I was about to leave, just thinking that she was eating by herself, when I saw a man riding my red Ducati pull up in front of the restaurant and park my bike. When he took his helmet off, I noticed it was Luke. I couldn't believe my wife's boyfriend stole my motorcycle. I was furious. I picked up my phone and I was going to dial 911, but then I had a thought for a second. I have a better plan. So I put an ad on Craigslist. I wrote in my ad, I need 6 guys with police uniforms, ASAP. We'll pay $5,000 for a gig tonight. I got an email instantly from this guy named Johnny that said he had uniforms that he purchased off eBay and all his friends were going to be cops for Halloween. About 1 hour later, my wife called me. Hey James, are you home by any chance? No, why? Well, our daughter Michelle and her friends are going to the carnival tonight. Can you stay with Michelle and her friend and be with her at the carnival, please? I wanted to tell her to go fuck herself, but I said, yeah, I could babysit. My wife didn't want to take any responsibility for our daughter, but it was okay. I called our babysitter instead and had her do the job. My wife and her boyfriend finished eating dinner, then they both hopped on my motorcycle and rode away. I quickly followed them. To my surprise, my wife took her new boyfriend with my stolen motorcycle to my house. I didn't think they'd go to my house. I thought they'd go to his house. Well, I guess this guy's stupider than he looks. On top of that, I cannot believe this guy stole my motorcycle from me. And if he thinks he's going to screw my soon-to-be divorced wife in my home, well, he'd better guess again. I told Johnny and his crew if they could get to my house in the next 30 minutes, I'll toss in another $1,000. 30 minutes later, they showed up with 2 2009 Crown Vics. There were 5 of them, and they all had masks with SWAT-looking uniforms, which looked awesome. I gave them a briefing of what we were going to be doing. We fist bumped our knuckles, and that was it. I counted down. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I kicked down my door, and we came in charging as I shouted, FBI! We have a search warrant. Any occupants inside of this house must surrender. I shouted at the top of my lungs. I disguised my voice so my wife wouldn't recognize that it was me. Johnny and his crew had handguns that looked like the real deal, but they were just rubber guns. We were all wearing masks. We ran upstairs to the bedroom where we heard my wife screaming in fear. When I got to the bedroom, it looked like they were about to have sex, but we put a stop to that. I pointed my fake handgun at Luke and said, sorry to spoil the fun. Where are the drugs at? What are you talking about? I don't have any drugs. This isn't even my house. Luke looked frightened. Don't lie to me, boy. I could be your worst nightmare. Cuff him. We didn't have any handcuffs, so we placed Luke and my wife in zip ties. You guys watch him. I'm going downstairs to look for the goods. Downstairs, I grabbed some baking soda and some salt. I mixed the two together in a Ziploc baggie, then ran back to the bedroom. What's in here, pal? Looks like meth. Or is it cocaine? It's not mine. Luke looked stunned. He pleaded with me. Please, let me call my lawyer. Don't worry, you get a free phone call in jail. I barked at him. Jail? I'm not guilty of anything. You also have a stolen motorcycle parked in this driveway. I was borrowing it. I was going to return it. Tell it to the judge. Please, let me go. I'm not finished searching your property. Next time, you better make your decisions a little bit more wisely. This isn't my property, Luke shouted. It's her property. Talk to her. He was trying to put the blame on my wife. Ma'am, can you please help me out? Can you please tell me whose drugs these are? I don't know. My wife started crying. You're looking at 2 years in prison if you don't tell me the truth. I swear, they're not mine. I don't know. My wife was trembling in fear, but she brought this onto herself. Never bring another man to your husband's house, even though you two are going through a divorce. That should be a no-brainer. I told Johnny to have one of his guys to blindfold my wife and take her to an undisclosed location, where we will deal with her later. Johnny said, You got it, boss. Alright, Johnny, mission accomplished. Get your guys and head out. I went to my safe and pulled out $6,000 cash and paid Johnny and his crew. They left with my wife blindfolded. Now it was one-on-one. I wanted Luke all to myself. So, you think you can mess with me? What are you talking about? That's what I thought. I grabbed a golf club from my closet and started beating the living shit out of Luke. He begged me to stop, but I continued ruthlessly attacking him. 5 minutes later, he was unconscious and bleeding all over my hardwood floor. I cut off the zip ties from his wrist and called 911. When the operator answered, I explained that I have an intruder in my house that's stealing my property and that I fought back with a golf club as self-defense. Within minutes, police arrived at my house. They had to take him to the hospital before they could take him to jail. I told the officers that I had $6,000 stolen from my safe and that my wife's jewelry was also stolen. I also mentioned that there were a few other guys, but they all ran away. Luke was charged with burglary and assault with a deadly weapon, and because I told the officers, he ran towards me with a knife. The good news is, later that evening, I ended up selling my Ducati on Craigslist for $12,500. I had Johnny take my wife to an office building to question her about her relationship with Luke and various other drug dealing questions that she didn't know anything about since we made everything up. Johnny dropped off my wife around midnight that same night. The funny thing is, she never found out that I set everything up. If I could give some good advice to men, I would say, don't ever fuck with a man's wife in his own house, or else there are going to be some major consequences. And never, ever steal a man's motorcycle.